Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled family won't move when backing out of parking spot. Got called racist for not allowing a jerk to cut in line. Hot Cheeto vomit in pool. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled family won't move when backing out of parking spot. Family was leaving an event and we got to our car. A mother, her mother, and about 4 kids were right next to our car with a stroller blocking me getting into the driver's seat. The grandmother moves the stroller to the opposite side of our car. My daughter takes a little time to get in and another family leaves to the right of us, meaning it wasn't the first family's car. They tell us to take our time. With my daughter finally in the car, I start to back up. By the way, it's a really tight lot. The original family to the left of us won't move, even though they see us leaving. I start to back up several times and the mom keeps moving back toward my car. Finally I get out and say, "Sorry, could you please just move over a little, I'm trying to back up." She and her kids move like 2 inches. I back up and try to go forward, but they keep moving out. There's like no clearance and they clearly see me. I'm doing like a 3-point turn here. The kids keep moving in and out as I'm trying to leave. I try to give myself more clearance and of course I tap the car behind me. They still will not move and give me space. Finally I beep and say, "Can you please move, I don't want to hit anyone." They just continue to stare. It's unreal. Somehow I get out of the space, but I'm literally baffled. I had initially waited, asked nicely, and they still wouldn't budge. I always try to be courteous of other people, and this was so rude. I was seething. Honestly, I didn't want to hit any kids, and the mother and grandmother didn't even seem to care. After asking nicely a couple of times, I would have just laid on the horn until they moved. I'd gaff if there are other people around. If you're just standing around and refusing to move as I'm trying to back up and leave, then I'm letting everyone know. It's de-evolution in action. The reversal of the natural order of evolution. Stupid people reproduce at a much higher rate than fully developed people, and modern medicine keeps them alive to keep doing stupid things. When self-preservation instinct has been lost, the bloodline is lost for any purpose, but they keep reproducing. The human race halted its own evolution when they created cities. This allowed the bottom of the barrel to continue existence when they can't hunt, gather, grow crops/livestock, be in situations where intelligence rises to the top to solve problems. Then came modern medicine, eventually antibiotics, that kept the bottom end alive no matter natural selection or the natural order evolution. It's actually ironic that the top end of achievement and intelligence made possible for the bottom end to survive when you think about it. People are idiots, and I am often astonished at how uncaring people can be about their children's safety. I was at an event featuring an operating vintage steam locomotive last year. A father, I presume, had a baby on a carrier on his chest, a younger child in a wagon, and a toddler by the hand. As the train approached, he moved right up next to the track. Anyone who has dealt with children know how fast a toddler can bolt and how little thought they have for their own safety. I was relieved when the railroad and local police moved everyone back to a safe distance. Honestly, there are a lot of dumb people in the world. Just other day my mom was driving and there was a guy riding his bicycle on the sidewalk. We saw him and he saw us, but he decided he can go ahead thinking he can make to the other side of the road. He make it alright, he just lucky that my mom hit the brakes before she could have hit him. I bet they were hoping you'd hit one of them so they could sue. Lay on the horn. No one wants to hear that, so make them move. Got called racist for not allowing a jerk to cut in line. The last week has been my state's state fair. I went with my son and mom to the fair for a day and used the public transportation available to us to get there and back. While waiting in line to go home, which was a super long line in front and behind us, some asshole with 2 strollers, 2 kids, and what looked to be the grandma roll-up, took a look at the front of the line and back of the line and decided to just situate themselves right in front of us. I leaned over to him and said, "Hey dude, the line starts back there." And, oh boy, was that the wrong decision. The dude starts going off on me. "You obviously don't have kids, do you? Because you have no idea what it's like to try and get kids home." I try to tell him that while I don't have kids, that's not the problem. The problem is cutting in front of us and a bunch of other people behind us who also have kids and just want to get home. He moved behind us since you have such a problem with letting kids go home. My so and mom try to help me by also telling the dude that we have no problem with his kids or family, as now 3 other women who I assume to be mom and mom's sisters have joined them, adding to the amount of people who cut in line. But then the dude starts saying that we are privileged ass white people trying to make people of color look bad. At this point, there was no use in arguing further, as me, my so, and mom had become super uncomfortable, and so we all just tried to ignore them. But this dude just kept going. From behind us, he kept trying to egg us on by calling me a B*TCH who opened her mouth and had to attack them, and that my so was the big man of the house and should do something if we are so bothered. His family members started too, saying that we had a problem with them and that their son had a broken arm, so we were bullying a disabled child. By the time the bus came and while we all got on, the dude kept saying, "Wow, look at that, you got on the bus. There were spots on the bus for you," over and over again. It was so hard not to say anything, but my poor so and mom were so embarrassed and nervous about the situation. When we got on the bus, he sat directly across from us and thankfully said nothing more to us the entire way home. What a truly awful experience. Had to rant about it and share. I would have found a cop or security and had them move their asses to the back of the line. Since it was pretty late at night, the only people at the bus stations were the people who work for the bus company. I wish there had been some security to help, but for some reason there was no one there. Or tell the bus driver that they cut in line and let the driver handle. The driver has much more experience. People like that are the most infuriating. I've met people like that. I used to take public transit with my senior dad. He used a cane and needed to sit in the priority seating near the front. Only issue was, those seats folded up as well to accommodate wheelchairs, and there were always women with strollers, really big ones like doubles, who would take up those seats and block the whole aisle. Drivers did nothing, and one day my dad spoke up and harassed us all the way home. And nobody stood up for my dad or myself. My partner uses a wheelchair, and it is depressingly common how many people have a crappy attitude when asked to move so he can use that spot. Even some of the drivers get annoyed when they have to get out of their seat to deploy the ramp for him. I'm very surprised that the people behind you didn't chirp up and tell them to get to the back too. Especially after they started going off on one. I know I would have. This is exactly what I thought, too. My favorite times are when people come together to rid the area of assholes. Happens all the time. Rock concerts. Metalheads can be some of the nicest people in the world, but they don't take no shit from anybody, and if a bad egg comes around, the asshole gets 86 deep by a pack of dudes who ain't standing for it. And I love being a part of that. The best thing you could have done, you did. When crazy is met with silence, it shows how absurd some people can be. I got mowed over at the farmer's market by a woman and her 2 kids as she was pushing a double-wide stroller she was using as a shopping cart while the kids ran everywhere. Out of habit I said excuse me, and she goes, "You try keeping 2 kids in line." A woman I don't know says to her, "Did you not read the instructions on the stroller? That's what they're for." Made my day. I got called a racist in 1981 because I went upstairs to the apartment above me to request they turn down their music. My daughter was about 2 months old. I thought that was a reasonable request, but because I was a different race, I was racist. Hot Cheeto vomit in pool. A few months ago, I was at a neighborhood pool with some friends. There were quite a few families there enjoying the pool and getting a break from the Texas heat. At one point I look over and see this little girl in the shallow end, about 5 years old, projectile vomiting copious amounts of deep red puke. Seeing this from a distance and having no context, I thought she was vomiting blood. In a panic, I start yelling and pointing at the little girl, hoping to get the attention of whichever group included her parents. This man turns from a table where he and others are eating, not even paying attention to their kids in the pool, and he rushes to jump in and grab the little girl who was still puking everywhere. By this point, I had gotten up and rushed over to see if I could help, having once worked in the medical field. The man rudely brushes me away. "It's not blood. She just ate a bag of hot Cheetos and always overeats until she pukes." Knowing that, you let her eat the bag then hop in the pool? Now there's hot Cheeto puke floating on top of the water and spreading out everywhere. Everyone gets out of the pool disgusted. The family quickly packed up their stuff and left without saying a word or making any effort to clean their daughter's mess. My friend grabs a net and tries to scoop out the puke, but it's too late. Pool day is ruined for everyone that day and for the next week until the HOA can drain and clean it. When I was a lifeguard, vomit or feces in the pool was a shutdown for the day situation. People who don't watch what their kids are doing or eating pretty much suck. My friend told me today that she was once in a sushi train and a kid kept lifting the lids on dishes and touching them. When my friend told the staff, they did nothing. So she canceled her order and left. I don't have anything to add except to say that Hot Cheeto Vomit would be a great name for a punk rock band. Who lets their kids eat that much till the puke and think it's okay? That poor kid is gonna have hell to pay one day for the damage all that puke is doing esophagus. Find someone who knows who this fool is and let the HOA bill them for the cost of emptying, cleaning, and refilling the pool. Those costs should go to this fool and his family since his spawn did the dirty deed. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.